In the NBA, winning a championship is hard. Defending it is even harder. But completely dominating an era? That's something reserved for a select few. They're called dynasties. Today, we're going to travel through time to explore each great NBA dynasty. We won't just list the number of championships, we'll look at how they did it. What makes a dynasty's DNA? Let's start with three core elements: a transformer superstar, not just a star, but a player who redefines the position. Someone who fills every gap in the production chart and elevates the entire team. An uncopyable system, a coaching philosophy or playing style so unique that it takes opponents years to figure out how to counter it. Smart management, the ability to resource, find the right pieces at low cost, and maintain the culture as stars age. With these factors in mind, let's start the tour. Period. 5 championships in 6 years. A dynasty DNA, raw size advantage. George McCann, the league's first true center. In a league without a shot clock and many small players, having a big, battle-hardened 6 feet 10 inches center was unfair. They just threw the ball to McCann. How they ended, the league expanded, the shot clock was introduced to limit McCann's dominance, and he retired early. The first dynasty ended by the rules. Period. 11 championships in 13 years. Incredible record. Dynasty DNA, culture and sacrifice. Coach Red Auerbach was the master. Bill Russell was the defensive nucleus. But the real secret was there was no scoring leader. They had Bob Cousy, Bill Sharman, John Havlicek, Sam Jones, all Hall of Famers, but none of them were trying to be the main star. They played team defense, passed the ball, and were willing to sit on the bench for the good of the team. They were an organization before that was popular. How they ended, Bill Russell retired. You can't replace the heart and soul of that dynasty. Era, 8 championships split evenly over the decade. Lakers 5, Celtics 3, Dynasty DNA, Lakers showtime and flavor. Magic Johnson redefined the point guard position. Pat Riley was an iconic coach. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar provided stability. But the key was speed. They were the perfect team for the new cable age: flashy style, fast play, and infectious smiles. They didn't just win, they entertained. Dynasty DNA, Celtics rigorous and tactical. Larry Bird, the perfect counter to Magic. Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson. Coach Casey Jones. They were a well-oiled machine, physical, smart, and steely-willed. Every time they faced each other, it felt like a culture war. How they ended, Magic and Bird almost retired together, HIV, back injury. End of an era. Era, 8 championships split evenly over the decade. Lakers 5, Celtics 3, Dynasty DNA, Lakers showtime and flavor. Magic Johnson redefined the point guard position. Pat Riley was an iconic coach. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar provided stability. But the key was speed. They were the perfect team for the new cable age: flashy style, fast play, and infectious smiles. They didn't just win, they entertained. Dynasty DNA, Celtics rigorous and tactical. Larry Bird, the perfect counter to Magic. Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, Dennis Johnson. Coach Casey Jones. They were a well-oiled machine, physical, smart, and steely-willed. Every time they faced each other, it felt like a culture war. How they ended, Magic and Bird almost retired together, HIV, back injury. End of an era. Period. 6 championships in 8 years, with a 2-year hiatus. Dynasty DNA, Michael Jordan. That's obvious. But it's also intentional ruthlessness. Phil Jackson and the triangle system set the framework, but the driving force was Jordan's relentlessness. Scottie Pippen was the perfect right-hand man. Dennis Rodman was the final crazy piece. They were predators. They knew they were better than you, and they wanted you to know it. How they ended, Jordan retired for the second time, really. The team was dismantled. This dynasty was built around a superstar so powerful it couldn't exist without him. Era, 5 championships spanning 3 decades. Dynasty DNA, culture than style. Tim Duncan, the basic teacher. Greg Popovich, the coaching philosopher. Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, international stars. The secret? Consistency and adaptability. They didn't have a fixed style. They changed from an inside-heavy team, Duncan Robinson, to a passing and moving team. They sought players with high basketball IQs, willing to sacrifice. They were a family organization in a business league. How they ended, a natural and graceful aging. Duncan aged, Kawhi Leonard took over, but the transition wasn't perfect. The dynasty ended not with a bang, but with a sigh. Period. For championships in 8 years, 5 finals appearances. A dynasty DNA, the 3-point revolution and versatility. Stephen Curry redefined the tactical scope of the basketball court. But they were also the product of modern management. Bob Myers built the team through smart drafting. Curry, Clay, Draymond, then attracted Kevin Durant with culture and opportunity. They were the perfect team for the analytics era, maximize the most valuable shots, three-pointers and close range, and sacrifice mid-range. How they ended, possibly injuries, Klay Thompson, fatigue, and the rise of young competitors. Adding Durant created a brief super dynasty, but also depleted resources and raised expectations. They're still competitive, but the window for a full-fledged dynasty seems to have closed. Period. For finals appearances, 2 championships. Dynasty DNA, a player power. LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh all came together on their own. This completely changed the dynamics of power in the NBA. They weren't drafted or traded, they were created. They dominated because of LeBron's individual genius and intense defense. Why wasn't it a dynasty? Too short. For years is an era, but not a dynasty by our standards. The tension between the stars and the physical exhaustion caused them to fall apart when LeBron returned to Cleveland. So, what can we learn from these great dynasties? The classic dynasties, Lakers, Celtics, teach us about culture and adaptation. Jordan's dynasty teaches us about ruthlessness and the power of an individual. The Spurs dynasty teaches us about stability and intelligence. The Warriors dynasty teaches us about innovation and modern management. Every dynasty is a product of its time, but they all share one trait. They don't just beat you, they change the way the game is played. They set the standard that everyone else must strive for. So, what will the next dynasty be? Will it be the Nuggets built around Jokic? Or will a new super team emerge? Based on history, they will need a shape-shifting superstar, an uncopyable system, and smart management.